Okay, we're streaming in the team page and I hit record. So we're gonna get started. And I'm so excited for this training. First of all, happy February. What an amazing January we just accomplished together. And I know even though this month's a little shorter, fun fact, it's a leap year this year. Did anyone else know that? I just learned that at the hospital the other day. I have a feeling we're gonna just like have even more record-breaking numbers. But I think that one of the things that we heard a lot last month and the month before is that, like, how do we get these conversations going, or how do we start them? How do we keep them moving? How do we get them to cross the finish line? And there's so many different ways, and we have such amazing leaders on our team that are very skilled at this and clearly like crushing it. And so we thought it would be really fun just to learn from the best and hear from them. So if we do have our kickoff call for the month in an hour. So we're gonna try and just keep this really focused. And at the end, if we have some time, we can do some Q&A. If there are other leaders on this call that you want to add stuff in the chat or chime in at the end, please do. I think my hope for this is that your biggest takeaway is that there's no one way to help get people started. There's no one way to the yes. There's no one way even to be a great salesperson. There's some really great themes and some really great themes you're going to see that all of these leaders do. But the approach is going to be really different. And for you, it could be different for every single person you talk to. But the goal is that you find some ideas, some approaches that feel like user-friendly for you, that you can get out of your comfort zone, that you can, like, I think of business a lot for the last decade of a lot of throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And sometimes this doesn't stick for more than a couple months or a couple weeks. Like, it's a lot of just constantly trying and retrying and finding what fits your energy and your personality, but also what keeps the ball moving in your growth in your business. I'm gonna pass this over. Sorry. I want to pass this over, and I think Kim, you're first, right?
Yes.
Kim's gonna kick us off. I'm gonna share the screen.
Okay. Okay. So I do almost all of my business on social media, but I feel like I don't do my business on social media like an influencer or like an affiliate. And I think that perhaps one of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to run this business, trying to run a multi-level direct sales business like an affiliate. And so I share my link and all that other stuff, but I kind of wanted to give you like the background of like how I get so many sales. And I can tell you, it does not come from like the links you see in my stories. It really comes from like this thing from the behind the scenes. And so you have to know that people buy from people they like and they trust. And you have to understand that that doesn't matter if somebody's buying a car, a house, a realtor, whatever it is, that is the sole thing. And so I always like to say social media is like dating. And it really is this give or take. And I really want you to think about you being like the pursuer, if you will, right? Like you're looking for the date or whatever. And are your behaviors actually like green flags or are they red flags? And so sometimes what I have found is that the people who tell me they don't want to be salesy do the most red flag salesy things. And then they wonder why it's like not successful. And so some of the things are you showing up consistently? Like I was joking, hopefully there's no kids on here, but like, are you just showing up for like sex? Are you just showing up for the sale? Because people are going to like know that. Are you giving value? Are you showing up and just kind of being about you, or are you providing some sort of value, even if it's friendship? Like, I really feel like I am a virtual friend for a lot of women out there, and I'm not outgoing, and I'm not like, I don't have a lot of like in real time friends, especially moving. And so my virtual friends out there really are my people. And then are you building a trust relationship? Meaning, like, are you saying what you say you're going to do, because people watch you. You have no idea how much people watch you, and they pick up on like, oh, she said she was going to do this and then she didn't do that. And are you just as interested in others as you are in them? And so I actually, so this is Danielle Reynolds. This is our upline. And in this interaction with her, I knew I was joining the right company. And so I went undercover and I started following all the top people in Hue and Grace. And I just liked her. She was the only top leader that actually responded to me. And all she said was, hey, hi, it's nice to connect. And I said, hey, it's nice to virtually meet you. And she, like, the next thing she was like, are you from Philly? I see an Eagles jersey. So let me tell you something. I am such a huge Eagles fan that the fact that she found what was important to me and did it, like, and then it turns out we actually grew up in the same town in New Jersey. Like, how amazing is that? And so just in that moment, just in that thing, I was joining this company just in that interaction. So the next thing is, I was sharing, like, do I do Botox or do I not do Botox? And look at your DMs. Are people confiding in you? Like, are people afraid to like tell you things? Like, I have always had women that I feel like sometimes they tell me things they don't tell anybody else in their lives. And so that's what you see a lot of in my thing. And so here's this initial conversation, right? This lady bought the skin serum. And it started out because we started talking about like Botox and stuff. And then this is a girl who joined my team back in December. And a lot of times, like, I do my makeup on like thing, like, I'll show you. I have my makeup right here. And I like to do my business as I do life. And so I do my makeup most days. And so I sit here and I go live and I do my makeup, and people start those conversations with me. So let's see. How do I go to the next page? Okay, there we go. So I also want you to know that you hold the trust. One of the things, and I was telling Jamie and Calie and all this other, like, we're awesome people, guys. We are really good people. And you have to know that. And you have to honor that in yourself. And so because you are that way, people look to you. And don't be afraid to use that trust that you have with people to steer people in the right way. And so video is the fastest way that you build rapport and trust. And that's how I built my Beachbody business 11 years ago, guys, by going on video. And I stumble over words and I goof up, and it doesn't matter. Honestly, I think people think it's funny and they laugh with me in the fact that I'm not perfect. And so, like, you can see in the corner here, this is just me doing my like night. Again, I'm doing life and doing my business. And so I got to put my night stuff on when I go to bed. And so I did a live just talking about it. And then get people in this business. If you know other amazing ladies who have a story or whatever, get on a live with them. This is Jace. She's on our team. She's amazing. And Jason and I just had a conversation about aging. That's all we talked about. And it actually wound up being like an hour long live, but like, it brought people to her, it brought people to me, it brought people to talk about the products, and it was just such a off thing that you could do. And then I put here, like, this was a lady. I actually didn't want to share her information, because when people share things with me, I just will never never share a screenshot. I'm not that kind of screenshot girl. So anyway, but this person was complaining about that she had gained weight, she wasn't feeling good, and all this other stuff. And so I was like, oh, you should seriously consider trying our stuff. Like, don't be afraid to be like, girl, this is what you need, because this is the relationship that you are building. And so I also want to say this in parting. So I get reels. I know you guys watch me, and I have reels, and people like, I'll be like, oh yeah, like right hair or right routine. And I do the same cut and paste, usually message. And I can tell you 100% of those people never respond to that message unless I start paying attention to them, unless I start following up. And so I just wanted to like kind of like be like The Wizard of Oz is like one of my favorite movies. And so like today we're like we're like showing you that like there is no like magic or whatever. So I'm just giving you like the background of that, and that's all I have.
I love that, Kim. And I love that you were so transparent around because you have this incredible following, right? And so I think a lot of times it's easy to look at people with big followings and be like, oh, well, people are just knocking down their doors. They just post a link and everyone comes running. And I think that I just love that you're so transparent around that. And I love the analogy of that sales is like relationships, is dating, is courting. So like just like you don't want to be the weirdo that proposes on the second date because that's like gonna make you go running. You also don't want to be the one that like makes the girl or guy wait for 10 years, right? You're like, oh, I've been waiting for a ring, buddy. Like, are you gonna pop the question? So I love I've loved that analogy for a long time as well. Calie, why don't you take it away? Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. And Kim, I loved all of those tips. And I want to, before I jump into like my piece of this training, I want to share like I do a lot of what Kim does. So it's really about building those relationships. And I think you'll see some of that in what I'm going to share, but you're also going to see like, then how do I take it to the next level after I've started having those conversations? So like Kim said, we really need to be showing up consistently. We need to be talking about our life. We need to be talking about what we're doing. We need to be sharing about our products, but we also need to be sharing about our real day-to-day life. And so that's something that I do. Like you have to find that balance. So just like Kim said, none of my sales come from dropping a link. I do not work my business like an affiliate at all. And they also don't just come from like someone saying, hey, what did I see you using that video? And then me just sending them a link. They always come from genuine conversations. So I wanted to give you guys one example. Like I shared my friend Carly's transformation, and I said she lost so much inflammation as she healed her gut and reduced her toxic burden by supporting her liver. So I didn't go into a whole lot of detail, but I wanted to like hint at some things that might be behind the scenes in what's happening. And so then this one person said, hey, what do you do for the gut and the liver? So I told her we have a really simple morning routine. And so something that I did when I started this business is I recorded some really short videos sharing my testimonies. Why do I love the skincare products? What are some of my favorite highlights about what the ingredients that are in them? Like same for the routine, like what the heck is the routine? What's in it? Like, how did I feel when I started using it? Why does it work? So when I'm having a conversation with people, what I generally do is I'll send them a voice note. And then when we start chatting back and forth, I can send that video over and I can say like, look, I recorded this little video where I share more about it. And so people always think like, I have to be an expert on the product. But the idea isn't to be an expert on the product. The idea is to be a product of the product. Like, so do you have a testimony to share? And can you share straight from the heart? So then I said, like, this is the link. So I want to make sure that if she goes looking for the Hue and Grace product, she's got my link. So I'm not dragging it out. Like Jamie said, I'm not taking 10 years to pop the question. I don't want her to go Google the routine or Google Hue and Grace and end up on someone else's page. But then I follow that up with a voice note, with my video that shares like my experience. I also was telling the girls that I think I've had more like voice note conversations and phone calls to the point where some days I feel like I'm losing my voice because I'll do so many like 5 or 10-minute chats with people. So what I'll say to get on the phone with somebody, because like Kim said, I want to build trust. I want to be someone that they like and appreciate so much that they want to support me because I've offered them support. So I'll say something like, I'll see someone's post and they'll talk about like perimenopause being such a bitch. And they're like, I'm having like, I had this horrible period, like I couldn't go anywhere. I had to change my tampon every 10 minutes, whatever. Like they'll share something and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I saw what you're experiencing. Listen to this story of what happened to me that's similar to your story. So I want to relate to them, not as a health coach, not as an expert, as a human, like as someone who's in a similar phase of life. I always tell people something personal about myself as soon as I can, because if I get vulnerable with them, I give them permission to get vulnerable with me. And that builds friendship, that builds trust. So I'll say something simple like, I saw what you're experiencing X, or interested in this particular topic. I've been working on this personally for the last 3 months. Do you have 5 minutes to hop on the phone? I would love to chat with you about this. Like, let's swap stories and see if anything from my journey can help you on your journey. Like, I'll say something like that. It's usually in a voice note. Okay. I tried to type out some like generic examples, but this is almost always in a voice note because it's coming really straight from the heart. It's not copy paste, but these are the types of things I'll say. If someone sees me doing like my face yoga in the morning, like Kim does her makeup, I do face yoga in the morning, no makeup on, straight out of bed with my messy hair and my headband. I look like a real human, someone they can relate to. And they say like, what is that you're doing? Or what is that you're using? I say like, I'd love to share, this is the link, but more importantly, this is why I love it. And so what's more important than the link? The reasons that you want to click on the link. And then I send them a voice note or a video and I'll say, if you want to chat more, like I would love to hop on the phone with you, or we can keep voice noting here. I have some more examples on the next slide, Jamie, if you wouldn't mind. So I know that the idea of getting on the phone with people might seem really intimidating to some of you guys if that's never been something you've done in your business before. So one thing that I want to preface is that I don't get on the phone to talk. I get on the phone to listen. So I'm not on there to diagnose their problems. I'm not on there to solve their problems. I am on there, like Jamie, could you scroll it just a teeny bit more? I put another quote at the bottom. I don't get on the phone to sell. I get on the phone to support. So no one's probably listening to these women, like when we're sharing about why we love these products or how they're changing our health or how they've enhanced our journey, all of these things, like they haven't had someone who's been open and honest and vulnerable. So when I get on the phone, all I want to do is ask questions and listen. Like I said, I'm not thinking, what am I going to say? I'm not thinking, how am I going to convince them? It's not about me. So if you shift from that I perspective, what am I going to say? What are they going to think of me? How am I going to convince them to try this product? And you focus on, how can I create space for them to share? What questions can I ask that will make them feel heard? So a really simple thing I do is I say like, tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. And that just like, and then if they'll share and I'll be like, I'll try to relate. And then tell me more about that. I just want to give them space to talk. Then that creates a level of trust and they feel supported by me. So they want to support me back. So some of the things that I'll say in my messages are, can I send you the link to give it a try? If you're not asking that question, if you're not asking for the sale, you're probably not getting it. I never just have people, like I said, in my DMs, in my stories, just clicking on my link. It's always because I've asked for the sale. If you could eliminate one symptom today, what would it be? Just like, what's a question that I can ask? So a lot of times I'm sharing about my own health journey. So people are relating to me on a symptom level. So that's why I like to ask questions like that, just to get the conversation started. And then I'll say, like, for me, it was my insomnia because, man, no one wanted to be around me when I didn't sleep. And I'll like just get vulnerable. And then after we've had a few exchanges back and forth, can we hop on the phone for 5 minutes? I'd love to hear more about what you're going through and offer any tips I can from my own journey. And that's how I get people on the phone. 9 times out of 10, they take me up on that. We literally spend 5 minutes on the phone. Sometimes it goes longer, but usually it's 5 or 10 minutes. They get to get things off their chest and we develop a relationship. So as you can see in these examples, I just wanted to show you the voice notes. Like, this is me building relationships. I'm not making sales because I have 75,000 followers. In fact, 90% of those people never see my stuff. I'm making sales because the people I do have, I'm connecting with them. I'm talking to them and they're messaging me back. So really, I think like a couple of quick summations. Number one, like you have to create opportunity for them to talk to you about their story and what they need. Ask questions, share things that are vulnerable about you, because that creates an opportunity for them to see you as a real person and to feel like they can trust you, they can open up to you. Ask for what you want, ask for the sale, ask to get on the phone with them. Make it about them. Don't make it about you. They should be talking more than you're talking. And the last thing is that, when you're confident in what you're bringing to the table, you don't have to chase people or beg people to sit down and eat with you. So you really do have to lead with a level of confidence. Like if you don't believe in these products enough to offer, like what Kim said in hers, like, you really should try our products. Can I send you the link? If you're not confident in it enough to make that ask, why would they be confident in it? So you have to set the tone.
I love that. I always have the mantra in my mind, I have to be more sure. Like we have to be more sure. Like they're coming to us because they have the concerns, the questions, they're needing the guidance. Like, so we're more sure. And then they can feel confident in that decision. And going back to what you said early on about being like, product of the product and having a testimony. I love that you shared someone else's testimony. Like just a reminder and hit that note. Like we don't, especially if you're new or if you're still figuring your way, you don't have to have some grand testimony. You can borrow someone else's. That's why we share and that's why we work together. And that's why, like, I use the example a lot that I'm not a mom of humans. I'm a mom of animals, right? So I've never given birth. I can't speak to that audience personally, but how many of the leaders and women on our team are moms that can, and I can use their story and I can use that for connective tissue. So I think this was so accessible. It makes me feel less scared to get on the phone with someone. So thank you. And then one thing we talk a lot about, and I'm sure if you've been around for even a minute, you hear a lot about the magic of the follow-up, the importance of following up with people. So Melissa's going to chat about that, and then we'll close talking a little bit about objections.
Hey, everybody. So this all ties together, right? Everything that Kim said, everything that Calie said, it can all be used when you're following up with people as well. So think about, to expand on the dating piece that Kim mentioned, would you be with your significant other or your spouse if one of you didn't call a second time or didn't make a third phone call or a fourth phone call? Probably not. The same is true when you are following up with people in this opportunity to try these products or to be a member of your team. Do you mind just scrolling down a little bit? So following up with people is a service. It can be done with voice message. I just really encourage you to focus on voice messages and not typing things out, because then they can hear your voice. And I've taught this for my 12 years with Beachbody. I'm teaching it now. It is all about them hearing the excitement in your voice. And following up, it's a service and it is a gift. You have something that so many people need, the products and this business opportunity. And if you're holding that in and you're scared about what they're going to say, what they're going to think about you, I want you to start to think about it as a gift. I will tell you that you are not being a pest. If you feel like you're being a pest to people, switch your mindset, rewind, and believe that what you have is a gift to them. If they don't see that gift, if they're not ready to open it yet, that's fine. Maybe someday they will. Maybe they'll shove it under the bed and never open it, and that's okay. Somebody else will be there. All right. So when I joined my prior company, the person that I went with, she followed up with me once or twice a month. And it was very much, I know that you need these products. They're going to help you so much. And you know what? They did. For 12 years of my life, this business opportunity, it changed my life. Now, people change, things change. When Jamie and I were talking, it was very conversational. She did not ping me once a month and say, hey, I think this would be great for you. It was, we had a conversation every single time. She asked me about real estate, which is what those two photos are from. And of course, my daughter would come in at this time. But She asked me about real estate. She asked me about things that were going on in my life. She asked me about my kids. She was having a conversation. She was making connections with me, which is what Calie was saying. We are making connections. I know that a lot of us know the invite thing. It's really connect with people. And you can do that with your follow-ups. One moment, please. Yes. Yeah, I can. Sorry. This is the beauty of being a mom that gets to stay home with her kids because of this business opportunity. Here you go. Okay, back on track. So if someone didn't get back to you, it could be that they've been meaning to, but life got in the way. Maybe they read your message when you first sent it to them. You sent them your link, you sent them a couple awesome voice messages, but they were in the pickup line at school. And then their kid came back out of school and got in the car and they got totally distracted, or they were doing laundry and then their spouse came home and like life got in the way. It's not because they hate you. It's not because they're ghosting you. It's because life got in the way. So you just make a note to yourself somewhere that you're going to remember to follow up with that person. And I put 3 days on the slide because that's what I usually do. I give them 3 days to chew on things, look at the site, all of that fun stuff. And then I follow up with them. And I will at the end give you one of my sample messages that I always voice text. It's never a script. It's always going based on our prior conversations. It's checking in with them, asking questions, being excited so that they can hear my voice. But you have to be asking the question, like Calie said, it's, you have to make the ask. They're not just going to, most people aren't just going to go to your website and make a purchase. You have to make the ask and ask the questions. So I want you to also know a couple stats that will really hit home. 20% of sales leads are ever followed up on, 20%. So what happens to the other 80%? Like that's 80% that if you are letting those fall, you could have really helped somebody with these products or changed their life with a business opportunity. So I just encourage you to keep a list of those people, write their names down. I'm very much pen and paper. I keep a list. I am not a computer person. I don't like Excel spreadsheets. They freak me out. Just give me a piece of paper and a pen. And then there's this stat, 80% of sales occur after at least 5 follow-ups, 5 connection points. It's not, hey, did you check out that link? 2 days later, 3 days later, hey, did you check out the link? It's, hey, how are you? What questions do you have for me? How was your son's hockey game the other day? It is still building that rapport with them, but not letting them forget that you're here and that they expressed interest at one point. More than likely, they were started to ask you questions. They liked a post that you put, they made a comment, they walked into your store, basically is what they do at that point. So you need to look up from your desk, if pretend it's a brick and mortar boutique, look up to your desk and say, hey, I see you, how are you? And ask questions versus keeping your head down, afraid that they're even going to see you or talk to you. Okay. So, and let me see what else I wanted to say. So what do? I go through my messenger list to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. I cross-check with my written list. And if it's been a couple days since we've chatted, and I'm not perfect, sometimes it's a week, I'm 3 kids, and a husband and a dog. So life for me gets in the way too, but I try to stay organized and I just go through and I look at our prior conversation and remember that those conversations were more than likely spurred on by them, like I just said, but I feel like I need to say that a couple times. They were likely the ones that started to ask you questions. All right. So don't be afraid that you're pestering them. They walked into your store. And if you were the one that reached out to them, you probably reached out to them because you have belief in the product and you could really help them. So either way, just make the follow-up. Be curious. What are they excited about with learning about our products and our business? Be super excited and super curious. Let them hear that in your voice. And like I said before, ask the questions. What questions can I answer for you? It's not a yes or no question. You don't want to be like, Do you have any questions? No. You want to ask, what questions can I answer for you? That's not a yes or no answer. A question that needs a longer answer is going to spur on more conversation and make those connections that we're trying to make. So what do I say? I say, hi, Sandy. No, hey, girl. Hey, girl. No. Hi, Sandy. I hope you're doing well and keeping warm because it's freezing here. I know I sent you some information a few days ago and I wanted to just see what questions you have so that I can answer them. And oh, and this is what I say to people. This might not be what everybody says. I say, I know that you probably looked at that link. I just want you to ignore the pricing on the site because I have discount codes for you. So you don't have to worry about the pricing on there, even though it is totally worth the price that you see, you're going to get a discount. So ignore those. And I'm so excited for you to get your hands on these products so that you can see why I'm so excited. So, and if it's the business, I say, I add on to it and I say something like, I cannot wait for you to start making an impact within your circle and join our team. It's going to be a fun ride and I'm here for it. So that's how I do my follow-ups. And I'll end with this. So I get nervous too, but you know what? I also know the impact that these products and a business like this can have on a person. I would not be sitting here. I'd be in a cubicle somewhere if it wasn't for multi-level marketing, social selling, network marketing, whatever you want to call it. So be confident in what you are potentially offering somebody because it can be life-changing. And if they say, no, I'm okay, that's fine. Somebody else will be here with a yes. So keep that in mind as you go along. That's what I got.
That was so good. Does anyone else get really excited when you get the email like, hey, you left something behind in your cart? And I'm like, oh my God, that's where that link went. That's where that tab went.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the only, I saw some nods. I'm not the only one, but I think of that a lot when I think of follow-ups because we all get busy, just like Melissa said. Like, how many times have you gotten a text message or you've opened something on accident and you're like, oh my gosh, that deserves a real response. I need to wait until I'm not driving or when I'm not trying to do 5 other things, right? So a lot of that, like what Melissa talked about, I think is a mindset. It's a mindset training, right? Is to like training yourself to believe in what you believe in yourself, that you're not a bother, that you are someone people want to hear from because they are. And I love that tip of open-ended questions at the end as well, because I think that like what Calie said, what Kim said, what Melissa said, like, it's just about conversating and keeping that conversation. I think of it like, you're on a train, you got someone, they're on a train track, right? That train track is gonna just either stop or go forward. And ultimately you have your destination, like the depot is the yes. And so it can go fast, it can go slow, but your job is just to keep it moving somewhere along the way. And so a lot of times it is just building a friendship, building a connection. Like that's really, people can buy from a lot of options online. And most people, I was reading something, I mean, you see it on Instagram a lot, but there's a lot of stats out there about like the majority of women are buying things through Instagram or TikTok, people they know, through influencers or just people they trust, because we're in that age where we can get stuff to our door. We don't have to go drive to a store to get it, but they get to pick. We have the liberty of picking from so many people, and we're going to choose the person, right? Would everyone agree that they like, know, and trust most of the time versus like a talking head that they don't have any, like, that doesn't even look at their DMs. Then anyone ever reached out to someone on Instagram or responded to a story and that person never even saw the message, and you're like, oh, I was excited for you to, like, I had something to say, and so I think that those were all, hopefully that made me feel a lot more excited just to try all the different ways. And I think to Calie's point, like even when someone can't get on a quick phone call, just having those voice memo conversations can really still be really impactful, and that is still can serve the same objective. So I have a question for you ladies. How do you handle, assuming we all get objections, right? When someone's like, I'm not sure, what are the most common objections you're hearing with you and Grace? And then how would you approach them? How do you combat them, I guess?
I mean, I haven't gotten the price objection a ton on my own, but I've answered this question for a lot of my advocates. So I feel like it's probably one that's worth addressing. And I know for me, when someone says like, oh, that's kind of expensive. Well, first of all, a lot of times they don't realize, like for the skin serum, for example, that bottle lasts like 2 months or more. So when you break it down and you say like it's $35 a month, that is really helpful for a lot of people. They're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. I didn't realize that it was going to last that long. I always talk about getting what you pay for as well. And so what I think is really special about Hue and Grace is the whole simple swaps concept. And I don't know about you guys, but like with the morning routine, I've probably replaced a supplement routine that was about 8 different supplements and cost me about 2.5 times what I'm spending on the routine. So you have to sometimes put things into perspective. So if you're someone who thinks there's going to be a price objection, there probably is going to be a price objection because you're probably going to inadvertently like hint at that. Like you're going to talk about like with the sense of caution because you're afraid that someone's going to give you the price objection. So just tackle it head on if that's one of your fears. Talk about like, Christina's on this call, and Christina and I sat in a coffee shop one day and she showed me all the supplements that she replaced with the routine. And I was like, can I video you? And she was just like unloading them from her thing. And I just shared that. And I was able to have so many conversations from that share and people saying like, oh, I just feel like sometimes supplements are so expensive and you have to take all these different supplements. And we got to talk about that simplification and how you're saving by simplifying. So I think it's just a lot of times kind of what's your perspective? What the objections you have are the objections your audience will have.
That was amazing. Kim or Melissa, do you have anything you want to, what are you hearing in terms of objections or your advocates?
So I feel like it's not so much objections as much as like ghosting, like people just like not like pulling the trigger and stuff. And so sometimes what I try to do is then I try to talk in my stories and I try to talk about like what happens when you actually take action. I also try to tell people like the reason that they are not succeeding in other things, because a lot of times people think this is just another thing they're going to fail about. And so I try to tell them like, look, the more simple that you can do, the more that you can do things like on stressful days, on days that you're busy, on days that you're vacation, the more you're going to get there. And so I think the biggest thing with women is they just don't see themselves being successful with the stuff. And so the more that you can be transparent about why it's going to be successful, I think you start to get people coming around again.
I love that.
I agree with both. It really is for me, it's been the money objection, which is why I started to say, ignore the pricing, even though it's worth it. And I do add that, even though it's completely worth it. People also know, because of my multiple sclerosis and everything, my people know that ingredients are like a really big deal for me. So they already trust me. And so they know that if I say that the ingredients are really top notch and you're not going to regret it and it's worth the money, they listen. But if money is still an issue, I made this is in the hub, this page with the family in the background, and it explains and I send this to them. I send them this flyer and I say, these are the 4 different ways that you can sign up. Really, probably only 2 of them are going to be applicable to you, the advocate or the customer route, but either way, you're going to be saving money. And I do believe that once you get this in your hands and you're able to try these products, you're going to see that it is worth it even without the discounts. So that's how I'm overcoming that objection.
I love it. And it doesn't go without saying that you can also remind them there's a money back guarantee. Like I will sometimes mention that as well if someone is worried about the cost. I'm like, well, there's really no risk, right? Like you can try this, and if it doesn't work for you, get your money back, and then So I think this was amazing and everything that we need to hear. If there are any burning questions and you want to put it in the chat while we have these amazing leaders on, please take a second to do so. And while those are coming in, if they do, I wanted to just offer a challenge to pay attention as you're going about your day, your life, to online and in real life, of like, what are the good and the negative social sales interactions that you have? What interactions and touch points that you like pay attention in the next couple weeks? Like when you have an interaction with someone that involves a transaction, what makes you feel good? What leaves you with a smile? What makes you go like, oh, I hope I get that checker the next time, or oh my gosh, I'm not going to that person's line. Like notice those things, because that is what you can now emulate, right? Like one of my closest friends, I don't have a lot of good real life girlfriends in Vermont, similar to Kim. I'm new to my area, but one of my best girlfriends here, I met because I wandered into her clothing boutique and I was holding my dog and I was in workout clothes, and she was like, oh, our athleisure wear is in the back. And I was like, what makes you think I like athleisure wear? And I just made like a sassy little joke, and she like laughed, and she got my humor right away. So we made a touch point, we made a connection point, and she's like, are you single? Can I set you up with my friend? Like it was and then I went shopping, right? Like I had no intentions of buying that day, but we ended up just walking around the store while she was talking. We were talking about life and what it was like to be finding new girlfriends at 43 years old, right? And so I pay attention to those things personally because I want to make someone feel how I feel when it's good, and then I also want to make sure I don't make someone feel when it's not so good. So that and you can emulate those things online, even if it was an in real life interaction, right? Okay, Melissa put her business example in the chat, so feel free to copy and paste that. Melissa, will you put that in the comments on the live stream as well in the team page? Yep, perfect. Anything else you ladies want to add? Calie, Kim, Melissa?
The only other objection that I get, and I don't know if this will be relevant to a lot of people, but like sometimes people feel like because we talk about hormone health that they have to be a hormone health expert, or they have to be like, well, I'm not in perimenopause. People will say like, I'm not in perimenopause. And I'm like, okay, great. Because now's the time to start paying attention to your hormones before you get to perimenopause and you have to like restructure your entire life to get rid of your symptoms. Like, I wish that I had this information when I was 14 instead of finding it when I was 40. But also like, just, I think kind of not dumbing it down, but like the idea of like just really focusing on the simple swaps and how it's relevant for the whole family. It's not just like a great product for a woman with an issue. Like these are very just clean, amazing products. What should be on the shelves of Target and all of these stores, but aren't. And so we need to make sure, we have to find a way to like make sure people know that they're out there, because what is out there is crap and we have a better option, but no one's going to know about it if we don't tell them. Like, and that to me gives me this sense of like excitement and empowerment and passion. Like, I don't want people to go through life using Dove products. I want them to know that there's something better that will protect their health and their family's health. And so you don't have to be a hormone health expert to care. And you don't have to be a hormone health expert to be able to share something amazing that you wish that you had known about sooner. So it's just really about like speaking to that as well and helping people understand that this is an opportunity for everybody, not perimenopausal women or hormone experts.
I love it. That was perfect. Okay. So the challenge now is to go and wring out the sponge, right? We sat here. Hopefully this gave you some more ideas, some empowerment, some confidence to go and find your way with this. Our challenge to you, and if you want to accept this challenge so we can cheer you on, put it in the live stream chat in the team page, is to PR this month. And the PR looks like whatever you want it to PR. If you talked to one person last month, talk to two. If you sold $1,000, then sell 1,001, right? Like find whatever you want to grow in. I'm not going to tell you what that number has to look like. Like that's not our goal here. It's to help you know that you can just keep growing and moving forward, but try something new that you learned today that you haven't done before. And just know that we are all here to help you. If you get stuck, or you're like, shoot, what did you say? Or I did what you said, but now I didn't get, and now I'm here. We can all help. Just use the team page, use us, and know that you're nowhere that someone hasn't gone before. So we're all here to lead. So we have 15 minutes, so go take a break, drink some Hydrate Detox. And thank you, Calie, Melissa, and Kim. You were amazing. That was so great.